Greetings and welcome to Talk a Little, Learn a Lot, the American Society of Naval Engineers podcast, during which we talk about all things ASNE. I'm your host, Steve Phillips. Today, we're going to talk about what's happening in the near future with ASNE, and then we're also going to talk about the upcoming Naval Engineers Journal. So to start it off, I'm joined by Dale Kidd Lumme, the ASNE Executive Director, to learn what's going to be happening in the next few months. Dale, what's the next major event for ASNE?
Thank you for hosting this, and it's awesome that we're getting this kicked off. Hopefully, after we talk a little, people are going to learn a lot about ASNE and what we're doing in the future. First off, we actually have a council meeting next week where we will be talking about the budget for fiscal year 25, and we'll bring in the new council members who were elected to learn before they take over on July 1st and have the old ones. The first event that we're doing is actually our all-member meeting, annual meeting on the 16th of July. We're going to do that in person and virtual. It's going to be our event that we're hosting. Our symposium event is called the Multi-Agency Craft Conference. So that week, from Monday through Friday, we'll be in Portsmouth, Virginia. But on Tuesday of that week is our annual meeting of members. Normally, we have been doing this the last few years virtually with a few members that have come by ASNE headquarters, but every now and then we're able to host it at a location like the Multi-Agency Craft Conference and Symposium. After we do that, then we'll go transition right into our new council meeting with our new board of directors and discuss what's going on currently with all the sections and where we're going for the future of the next year or so. Do want to say we're really promoting the Multi-Agency Craft Conference, but we're also partnering for a STEM event that's happening that I'd like to highlight too. So for that week, 15 through 19 July, we're partnering with Starbase Victory in Portsmouth, Virginia, and GoTech, which is a STEM organization, and we're bringing in several dozen STEM students, middle school students, that'll be participating in this week-long STEM event. And the mayor of Portsmouth has been really, the Honorable Shannon Glover has been really helpful in getting a lot of STEM students engaged and will be attending and help us kick off our event. And we're also going to have high school students that are able to attend. So those at least are the near-term events that we're doing over the next few weeks.
That sounds like a great opportunity for young people to connect with naval engineers. I'm also interested, will the event itself be recorded so that if people aren't able to watch it virtually or attend in person, could they then watch it later if they wanted to?
Yes, that's a good question, Steve. We have, since COVID, have recorded all of our symposia that we've hosted. So all panels, all keynote speakers, and all technical presentations that are done by the authors who are doing that. We have a number of tracks, but we have computers that are in all the rooms. So every event for the Multi-Agency Craft Conference Symposium are going to be available. We call those proceedings, and those proceedings are available for free for everybody that attends the event. It's registered. And if you're an ASNE member, you can get them for a very reduced price. If you're not an ASNE member, you can still purchase them through our website. But yes, all the panels, discussions, professional, things going on will be recorded.
What can we expect to see and encounter at the Multi-Agency Craft Conference?
We have a number of keynote speakers, and it's from the Coast Guard and from the Navy. So we're lucky to have great support from Fleet Forces Command and all of their sub-entities in the Norfolk Hampton Roads area. But we're also blessed to have a number of Coast Guard operations people have a number of Coast Guard boats that'll be there. In fact, a number of the STEM students, all the STEM students will be able to tour and visit some of the Coast Guard cutters that they'll be able to support. We also will have Rear Admiral Eric Verhaeg, who is currently a special assistant to the Naval Sea Systems Command commander. He'll be doing one of the keynote addresses. And the great thing about this is used to be a launch and recovery and multi-agency craft. So we're going to have law enforcement people there to Homeland Security, from local law enforcement, state and federal law enforcement, in addition to small boat builders. I want to go through a few of the names that we're going to have. They're actually going to have their boats there. So many of you have probably heard of the Stiletto, which is really an awesome platform that the Navy uses to test out programs. That's going to be there and will be available for people to ride. In addition, some of our commercial companies, leading companies, are Oceancraft Marine, Tideman Marine, Fluid Watercraft, Petesto AB, Disruptor Maritime, Seakeeper Incorporated, Volvo Pente of the Americas, Ring Power. So, and we are anticipating over the next, even got some calls today, that we're going to get a couple more small boat manufacturers who are going to be there, so that you have a professional side inside of the Renaissance Hotel in Portsmouth, where all the events, and then water side, we'll have all these boats so that we have the ability for people to visit and understand the in-water portion of our symposium.
Are there any unmanned surface craft that we might see at this event?
As of now, no. Last year, we in fact had unmanned surface craft because we were in concert with our multi-agency craft. We did our Office of Naval Research promoting electric propulsion with a number of colleges and universities that we're supporting. But we just finished that a few weeks ago in Virginia Beach. So we've kind of broken up the multi-agency craft and promoting electric propulsion so that all the students could complete and do their presentation and capstone event before they graduated, instead of pulling them in after graduation. So no unmanned for this event this year.
Dale, you alluded to the fact that this is a time of change and turnover in the organization. Is there anything that you anticipate as far as like big changes in how the organization does things or new endeavors?
That's a very good question. Our ASNE president, Vice Admiral David Lewis, is going to address that in one of the next podcasts, because he has a vision of where ASNE should be going in the next year, the next several years, really a 5-year kind of plan. And I don't want to kind of jump in front of what his vision is, even though he's talked about some of those things that he has seen that ASNE has done over the years. He's been a member for several decades, but he has ideas of how to move forward. He came from the Naval Postgraduate School. He was the dean of the Acquisition Research Program after he retired from the Navy. So he has written a number of articles from the Naval Engineers Journal and others. And he's really interested in kind of elevating what we're doing with the Naval Engineers Journal, elevating the discussion, doing more podcasts, and kind of opening up the aperture of what we've historically done, and maybe look to the digital world to help us be engaged more and inform our members and hopefully future potential members of the opportunities that we have.
Dale, before I shift and talk to Dan Taylor about the journal, is there anything else that you want to share with the audience?
Yes, we, as an organization, I'll just kind of do a little preset to say that we have engaged other organizations so that we can partner with them, so that we can provide the audience kind of a better aperture of where we're going and what we're trying to do. So the Marine Machinery Association hosts their events, and we're partnering with them, and they'll be participating in our future events. When I was out at our symposium in San Diego in Megarust in May, met with the Mine Warfare Association, and we're going to be partnering with Mine Warfare in order to do collaborative events, potentially partner events with them, so that we can hopefully double our audience. Many of the things that the symposium we do talk about mine warfare, so we're going to be partnering with them. In addition, even as of this morning, I met with the Directed Energy Professional Society, and they host different events. So we're going to be partnering with that society in order to kind of host joint events that we're looking at potentially at the end of fiscal year 25, but probably in the fall of 2025 in our fiscal year 26. But yes, there are good opportunities for ASNE to partner with other associations, leagues, and societies, so that we can kind of broaden our audience in professional development.
Next, I'm joined by Dan Taylor, the managing editor of Naval Engineers Journal. Dan, what can we expect in the next volume?
Hi, Steve. Thanks for having me on. So, the September issue of the Naval Engineers Journal is well underway, and we've got a lot of interesting content that we're going to be featuring. We have our typical list of technical papers that we have each issue covering a wide range of topics, and then we also have a special insert that's going to be focused on robotics. So in our regular section, so some of the topics we'll cover are things like combat effectiveness of manned unmanned teaming in naval forces, and we're going to look at South Korea and North Korea. We're going to talk about operational security for unmanned systems, damage control and maneuvering capabilities of naval combatants, innovative materials for marine applications, and that's things like advanced coatings for submarines. The Nimitz and Ford class aircraft carriers are going to have an interesting profile on that, talking about their future adaptability. We will talk about diagnostics and maintenance of marine engines, focusing on vibration and noise analysis. We also have a paper on optimization of mission effectiveness and system vulnerability for naval ships. And then finally, something on advancements in ship design techniques like template-oriented modeling. So a broad range of topics, a lot of interesting subjects there. And then we have the RoboNation insert. And for those not familiar with RoboNation, it's essentially an initiative, a nonprofit that advances robotics and autonomous systems by inspiring and developing the next generation of engineers through hands-on competitions and educational programs. So they provide us with a few technical papers from their promising group of future engineers, talking about things like simulation of unmanned surface vehicles in ocean environments, advanced sonar and imagery techniques for maritime applications. There's a paper on the importance of STEM education through projects like Sea Jelly and Sea Perch, highlights from the 2022 Maritime Robot X Challenge, and that's going to feature the winning USV Minion. So really interesting robotics and autonomy technology going to be featured there. So I encourage you all to check that out once it releases in September.
Dan, as the managing editor, I know that you're always looking for new submissions, and you probably are trying to neck down on a couple of specific topics. What are you looking for, say, October, November, and December to put in Naval Engineers Journal, giving people an idea of something that they can write about?
Sure. Yeah, I think what's something that's really interesting has been the rise of AI. So AI has been a buzzword in the defense industry for a very long time, but it now seems like it's a little bit more of a practical sort of technology that we're seeing more and more in the field. We're seeing it used in Ukraine and other places. So, and I see it all the time at trade shows. I think, and it has a broad range of applications because you see AI being used for things like swarm technology for drones, or you may see it used for data processing. So I think those are really interesting topics. How is AI being used? What are some of the innovative ways it's being used that are a little bit different and just creative in terms of how it's going to change the future of warfare. So I think for example, data processing is really interesting. It allows the commanders in the field to make better decisions and more quickly as well. And so, time is of the essence. That's difficult to do in the field where you're limited as far as you're not sitting in the data processing room. You really have to figure out how to do as much as you can with the data that's coming in. And the data is just growing and growing, and the more there is, the harder it is for human beings to sift through that. So that's just an example of some of what makes AI interesting to me. And I think I would really be interested in seeing if some papers just talking about some of the other uses of it and specifically how it's going to address that challenge. How we're going to make AI a practical thing as opposed to just a buzzword.
Interesting. Dan, I've heard something about a republishing of the story of Aegis. Can you tell me anything about that?
Yes, so the story of Aegis was first published about 15 years ago, so it's due for an update. And the next issue we'll be publishing is the story of Aegis, the digital edition. And we're going to try to get that published by the end of July. The copy's all ready to go, so that's going to be coming out within about a month from now. So it's being worked by the Department of the Navy, Naval Postgraduate School, and through the efforts of Rear Admiral Tom Rubin. And it's going to be a really interesting refresh of this very critical story to the fleet.
Great. Dan, is there anything else that you want to share with the Talk a Little audience before we go?
I would just say that, I'm excited. I've just joined a couple months ago. Just getting my hands dirty and just jumping in with an organization that I've known for a very long time. And as someone who's covered the Navy for a very long time, ASNE is very important to the U.S. Navy world. And so it's just a privilege to be joining as managing editor of Naval Engineers Journal. I'm excited about the work we're going to do, some of the papers that come in. I mean, I think we're really on the cutting edge of some of the latest engineering challenges in the Navy. And so, I'll share more as they come in, as we get new technical papers and other interesting articles, and we'll just see where it takes us.
Great. Thank you so much, Dan. I know that everybody's looking forward to seeing what direction you're going to take the journal in. So thank you for that.